I wonder how long before the young adult craze really starts crashing down. It seems like The Hunger Games and other films like Twilight and Harry Potter, but mostly The Hunger Games, started building up that, yeah, we can base all these movies around young adult novels, and then all the young people will come out to watch the movie. Then they started doing some random franchises. I mean, there was Maze Runner, which, they ended up finishing the trilogy at least, but then they had Divergent, which, what, were they gonna do a sequel on television or something? And Shailene Woodley's like, Well, we still have a couple of these coming out once in a while. Today we have Mortal Engines. This is directed by Christian Rivers. He's worked a lot with Peter Jackson, and this has been a big pet project of theirs. He produces it, and Christian Rivers, I believe this is one of the first films he's directed. He's also storyboarded Peter Jackson's films in the past, so in a way, I was hoping for something visually exciting, and you kind of get that. The premise alone is interesting. It's about these cities that are basically on wheels. As to why they're on wheels, after watching the movie, I don't really know. Maybe the book explains it better. I haven't read the book. I don't know if I'm going to read the book, but all I know is seeing cities on wheels, while kind of pointless, it's pretty awesome. And that's what you get. You see a bunch of cool visuals. You see the same kind of chase sequences that you saw in something like Mad Max Fury Road, except with vehicles that are obviously way bigger. And you feel the size of these. The movie takes place way in the future. It has a lot of steampunk vibes to it. I kept getting callbacks to City of Ember while watching it. City of Ember, I did a review of that, and honestly, it might be a lot better of a movie. All these young adult movies are typically set in the future to show, hey, this is the post-apocalyptic world. This is where we may end up. As to what this movie does to comment on that, I don't know. There's minions at one point. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not really the minions, but it's like a statue of the minions, and it's like American history, and yeah, that's the kind of movie this is. They have stuff like that in it, yet the rest of the movie takes itself really seriously. We have the two main leads. The girl is fine enough, but the main guy is one of the most annoying characters ever. He tries to be, I guess, the Luke Skywalker of the group, but he doesn't have any of the charisma. We have a villain played by Hugo Weaving. He's often fun in the villainous roles, but here, I just wasn't feeling it. He seemed bored, and I mean, I don't blame him. He's been doing how many villainous roles in the past couple years, he's probably getting sick of it. And then you get a bunch of other characters that sometimes I wonder why they're even there. There's this whole relationship dynamic set up with the main character and this father figure. The father figure shows up about halfway through the movie, and then also leaves about 3/4 of the way into the movie. I don't really know why he was there, though. He didn't do much to progress the story, and it doesn't really seem to connect to anything emotionally. The biggest city around is the London city. It's trying to suck up all these other little cities. To what purpose? We never really learn. I guess it's just to get more resources. Perhaps the movie could comment on the past and how England used to colonize all over the place. There's a lot of history about that. There's a lot of discussion, stuff that's brought up even to this day. But the movie doesn't seem to bring any of that to the forefront. The movie was made to have a bunch of cool visuals and a bunch of landscape scenes. But even the landscapes aren't really that interesting. When we have the characters out of the city, just walking through the plains, you don't really get to see much. It's always just dirt and grass, and that's it. There's really no beauty or wonder to it. Maybe that was the movie's intent, but for a 2-hour movie, I was hoping for something a little more pleasing to the eyes rather than dirt and grime. The beginning of the movie is set up to be this awesome adventure, as if you're in the middle of the story. You see this big ship taking this other little ship, it has nowhere to go. It's this big chase scene, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a lot like Star Wars. The whole movie is kind of like Star Wars, then you have two characters escape from the big ship, and then they run into another character who ends up carrying them on this other ship, and he ends up being some kind of space pirate. Well, in this case, it's an Earth pirate. They run into this wise character who ends up taking them along back to the big ship to destroy it. That character ends up dying. The villain is Darth Vader, basically. Some of this stuff you're going to guess right from the beginning, and for a while you think maybe they're not going to capitalize on that because we're getting towards the very final minutes of the movie. Why would they start bringing up any other cliches? And yet they find a way to fit those cliches in, and I don't really get why. In the end, the movie just takes itself too seriously. For an idea like this, you think it should be a little more fun. Tonally, it was all over the place. There were way too many characters, and the emotions were just never fleshed out. I felt nothing for the most part. And the only thing I did like was, a couple of the visuals. The only thing I really liked about this movie was, some of the effects and some of the visuals which took advantage of the scope of the film. Sometimes they're just in the tread marks of these giant ships and you really feel the size. Most of the time, we don't really even go into the city. We sometimes see the townsfolk come running out of the city, but we never really go in there and digest it. It's more rushed and decides to focus more on the characters, who for the most part are boring, stale, and sometimes even really annoying. I guess for the visuals, I'd give this movie 2 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching this review. Tell me what you think about Mortal Engines. Have a lot of you who have read the book been waiting for this adaptation for years? Did you see it and get let down? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching the video. A special thanks to Movie Johnson, Ryan, and Lucas for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd like to be like them and get exclusive access to content and blogs, and even request reviews monthly, please click on the Patreon link, and thanks for your support.